Okay, in this one-place user training video, I'm going to talk about adding and managing users in the system. So over here in the top right corner in the little gear for the settings, if you click on that, you can go to the option called users. And that's just another way of opening up the settings and automatically selecting the users. In this case, I have a list of all the users that are in this little test system. The pencil means you can edit an existing user. An X means you can delete the user. Here we have just a list and a quick little overview of some of the major settings for these users. So to add a new user, I just need to click the new button. And up comes the edit user option where I can go ahead and add these settings and click save. So let me explain some of these settings. So username here, I'm just going to make a test one, test user. Test 05. Phone number. And security type. Now you have different types of security: admin, accounting, manager, purchasing. For the most part, when you select one of these, it's going to pre-select or pre-unselect on the module security things you can and cannot do. You'll learn as you select some of these, you'll see the differences. In general, admin is everything, and the other extreme is read-only, is only being able to view everything or a lot of things, but not all things. Kind of a happy medium is maybe sales. They can do a lot of sales and customer service functions, but they can't do certain things, maybe purchasing, for example. But each of these, even after you select them, it's just going to give you a set of defaults, as opposed, you can still override anything you select to customize it. So you might, as I'm setting up a user, you might select what is the closest type of security for that user. Or sometimes a better way is to say, well, this user does the same kind of things that Lon does or Rochelle does. So if you just go ahead and select one of those, and once you click save, then it will just mimic whatever the settings are for this user. So this is kind of a more realistic way of user security, I believe. That's why we put it in here. You can go ahead and store the home address, date of birth, date of hire, notes, things like that if you'd like. If you click save at this point, then it will send an email off to that user. And so if I come over off the screen, let's see if I can see if that's going to come in here. Yeah, there it is. So if they click on activate now, that will allow them to activate the account and set a password. And so that's one way to do that. Now I'm going to come back over here. Let's say, oh, I didn't get the email, or oh, I forgot, or whatever. No problem. They're in here as a user, but they still can't get in. So you can go ahead and you can just override it and say activate this user and give them a temporary password. And or I could click this resend activation email, but this is kind of a nice way to just say, okay, here's your temporary password. Just send it off to them and say you're already set up. Change the password at your convenience on the login screen. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now there's other settings. What's the default warehouse? If you have more than one warehouse, you're going to want to pick which warehouse this user normally works in to have the specifically for working in the warehouse or taking orders. It is nice to have the proper warehouse assigned for the customers who are going to be calling, wanting parts to be delivered from that warehouse. The department is just user information. Warehouse worker will allow that login to appear on the shipping and receiving screen. Driver will allow the button on the shipping and receiving screen to appear for drivers that can be dispatched. Sales rep, commissionable. These are just things that give them or that turn on and off different things in the system pertaining to these checkboxes. For the most part, they're pretty simple. They're just, one or two places. Email settings, you can just say other and type in your outgoing mail server, your outgoing port, the email address for this user, and the password. And it's important to note here that this is just for sending emails. There's not a built-in email inbox in this system. We recommend use whatever you've always used for that. If you have something like Gmail or Outlook, or even there's a lot of third parties out there that really technically use Office 365. So if you select one of these, it's going to automatically fill in those settings for you. In almost every case, the outgoing port's going to be the same. So you can type in an email, a real email address, a real password that already exists for an existing account, and press test connection, and that will enable that user to send emails out from using their email information right out of the system, like sending a quote, an invoice, a credit memo, things like that. Module security, we talked about that a minute ago. This manager, this case it's got, but you can go in here and you can override any of these, decide that they can or cannot view these individual screens. Can they add a new one? Can they edit on these screens? Can they print? Can they delete? These are just very granular permissions that this user can or cannot do screen by screen. Allow. What if you leave them at 0, they can sell parts or discount parts however they want. But if you want them to be within a certain gross margin, then you can set up a margin here as a minimum and a maximum. And that's a way of kind of controlling the price changes. Allow user to create and update QuickBooks Online accounts payable bills. Most users are not going to be given this option, but this is on the allow. And then if you're over here, let's go back over here. Let's say that I'm here and I'm on the customers. Well, that's going to open up a new tab. And maybe you do or do not want this user to be able to export the entire customer list or export it all. So this is per list. Can they export yes or no? So this is a helpful thing to kind of control your data security if you'd like. Do not allow. By default, all of these things I'm going to talk about are allowed to an average user. But you can go and individually check any of these to not allow things like viewing of costs or changing the entered buy on sales transactions or the sales rep, changes to the prices on sales transactions. If you click on that, it'll override this and just not allow them to change it at all. Not be able to change them after it's printed. Not be able to make changes to invoices or credit memos after they're printed. Not be able to delete a sales order after it's printed, or delete invoices and credit memos after printed. Not be able to reprint quotes, orders, or invoices or credit memos. These are various types of granular security options that our customers over the years have asked for that we've put in this new 1place product. Last of all, in the system, you can turn on or off an option for managing or letting having access to your Google Docs, your company's Google Docs right here inside of one place. We wanted to have everything in one place, including tasks and jobs and documents. So that'll be covered in a different video, but this is where you will assign login rights to cloud documents. So that's about it for this video. Hopefully it's been helpful, and hope you have a great day.